Okay, picture this for a second. A child walking into their classroom for the very first time. You could probably see their face, right? The backpack that's just a little too big for them. Now imagine that same child, same potential, same little spark, was born in a different country. The room they walk into would be totally different. The way their teacher speaks to them would be different. And the entire path of their life, well, it could be completely different too. The question of how we teach our children, it's got to be one of the most important things we can ask. So let's go on a little journey. We're going to visit 5 countries that have built some of the most remarkable education systems on Earth. The point isn't to find some single perfect model, but just to understand what's possible. What can happen when a nation really decides to take the mind of a child seriously?
So our first stop is Singapore. It's this tiny island, right? No natural resources to speak of. Back in 1965, its leaders made this really powerful decision. If they had nothing else, their people would be their greatest resource. And honestly, everything about their schools flows from that one choice. So how did this tiny nation end up building the world's #1 education system? Well, the answer is not at all what you'd expect.
They came up with this philosophy called teach less, learn more. And instead of racing through dozens and dozens of topics, teachers in Singapore just slow down. They take a few core concepts and go incredibly deep. A lesson that might take a single day somewhere else could take a whole week in Singapore. And the teacher, they don't move on. Not until every single child in that room understands it. You can really see this in how they teach math, with the famous Singapore method. Kids learn by using actual physical blocks and drawing pictures first. So instead of just memorizing that 1/2 is bigger than 1/3, they can hold the blocks in their hands and literally see it for themselves. They get this real intuitive feel for how numbers work, long before they ever see some abstract formula on a page.
And the results of all this deep focus? Yep, they're #1 in the world. But the secret isn't just the method, it's the teachers. In Singapore, teaching is treated with the same seriousness as being a doctor or a lawyer. Only the top third of graduates are even allowed to apply, and then they're trained and mentored for years. They're some of the most respected professionals in the entire country.
All right, so from Singapore's focus on depth, we head over to Japan. Their approach is also built on one single powerful idea, and it's an idea that most schools in the West spend all their time trying to avoid.
This is the classic Japanese method. The teacher puts a problem up on the board, one the students have never ever seen before. And then the teacher sits down. The students work all by themselves. They struggle, they go down wrong paths, and this is the key. That struggle, that's the whole point. That is the lesson. After they've all wrestled with it for a while, the class comes back together. Kids get up and share their wrong answers, all the creative ways they tried to solve it. The teacher doesn't just give them the solution, they guide the whole class as they discover it together. A wrong answer isn't seen as a failure. It's just a valuable part of the group's journey.
And what comes out of this is just profound. It creates kids who are comfortable with not knowing the answer yet. They learn that feeling confused isn't a reason to give up. It's the feeling you get right before you understand something really important.
And then there's this one detail you just can't forget. In Japanese schools, there are no janitors. Every single day, the students themselves clean everything. Their classrooms, the hallways, even the bathrooms. And it's not about saving money. It's a lesson. You are part of a community, and you have a responsibility to take care of it.
Our third story, wow, it's maybe the most dramatic. In the 1950s, South Korea was just devastated by war. Most of the population couldn't even read, but today, it has one of the most educated populations on the entire planet. So how on earth did that happen? Well, it wasn't some clever government program. It was the culture. It was this belief, passed down from grandparents to parents to children, that education is everything. Families sacrifice an enormous amount for it, which means kids show up to school already believing that what they're doing there really, really matters.
And in the classroom, that belief translates into something they call productive difficulty. Basically, it just means they believe the best learning happens right at the very edge of your ability. In that moment of struggle, when your brain is forced to forge new pathways. Learning how to persist through a hard problem, that's taught as a skill in and of itself. And then you layer on top of all that, the status of teachers. In South Korea, they're not just instructors, they're seen as moral and intellectual guides. A student's success is seen as a success for the entire community, and that creates this incredible web of support around every single kid.
Okay, now for a completely different story. After the Soviet Union fell apart, the tiny nation of Estonia had to basically build an education system from zero. So they figured, why not build something totally new?
So in the mid-90s, when the internet was still this new, kind of weird thing, Estonia launched something called the Tiger Leap. I mean, think about the foresight this took. They connected every single school in the country to the web before most of us even knew what that really meant.
But here's the really radical part. They started teaching computer programming to kids as young as 7. But not to create a bunch of software engineers. They did it because they saw it as a way of thinking. So an Estonian kid learning to code is also learning how to break a huge problem into tiny little steps, how to test ideas, how to think logically and creatively all at the same time. And they built their entire system around this idea of equity. The gap in performance between kids from wealthy families and less wealthy families is one of the smallest in the world. As soon as a child starts to struggle, the system is designed to catch them fast and give them support right away, without any stigma.
And our final stop is Finland. And its story is maybe the most challenging to our own ideas about school. Because Finland's genius wasn't about what it added, it was about what it was brave enough to take away.
Just think about what we all consider normal in school, right? Formal classes starting really early, tons of standardized tests, ranking schools against each other, mountains of homework, really long days.
While Finland got rid of all of it. Kids don't start formal school until they're 7. There are no national standardized tests. Homework is super minimal, the school day is shorter, and yet their students are among the best educated in the world. How does that work?
It all comes down to one word: trust. Specifically, trust in their teachers. You know, getting into a teacher training program in Finland is harder than getting into medical school. They are deeply, deeply trained professionals, and the whole system treats them that way, giving them complete freedom in their classrooms. And they protect childhood. For every 45 minutes of class, kids get 15 minutes of outdoor play. It's literally the law. The Finnish system is this quiet but really powerful argument that children learn best when they're actually allowed to be children. So we've just seen 5 completely different countries, 5 very different ways of doing things. I mean, what could a tech-savvy nation like Estonia possibly have in common with the struggle-based classrooms of Japan? Or Singapore's intense focus with Finland's freedom to play? Well, it turns out there are a few simple, powerful ideas that connect them all. In every single one of these places, teachers are treated like the highly skilled professionals they are. Equity isn't just some buzzword, it's built right into the design of the system to give every kid a fair chance. The goal is always deep, real understanding, not just good test scores. And finally, the culture of the country actually supports what's happening inside the school walls. But maybe the real connection is something even simpler. Maybe great education isn't really about the technology or the curriculum or how long the school day is. Maybe it's about a shared belief. A belief held by an entire society that the mind of every single child is a precious thing, worthy of our most serious, careful attention. And that kind of leaves us with a much simpler and maybe more profound question to think about. Not what makes a good school system, but what is childhood even for?